All right, well, good morning, everyone. My name is Miles Glancy. I am the General Manager of Philharmonia Baroque Orchestra and Chorale. And I'd like to welcome everyone to our virtual masterclass with the lovely soprano and our good friend, Sherezade Panthaki. And she is accompanied by three beautifully talented artists, which you'll hear in just a moment. If you have any questions at any time for Sherry throughout the event, you can feel free to submit them at any time by using the Q&A button, which is in the bottom frame of your screen if you're using a computer. If any questions roll in, we'll go through them at the end. If you need assistance at any time, you can use the chat feature down below, or you can email info@philharmonia.org. I'd now like to introduce PBO's Director of Education, Lisa Groden.
Hello, everyone. Welcome, and thank you for joining us today. We're so delighted that Sherezade Panthaki has graciously agreed to give this masterclass. She's in high demand as a masterclass leader all over the nation, and she's a very frequently collaborator with Philharmonia. She brings to all of her operatic performances and all of her performances with us her vocal brilliance, the depth of emotion in the music, and she brings the life to music for us every single time she appears on stage. And if you're like me, you wonder, how does she do that? And I think today we'll learn something about her process as she shares some insights with our young performers. And we congratulate them today. They were selected from a group. They are on both coasts, and you may well like to know who they are. And it will be like the big reveal. One at a time, they will introduce themselves, say something about their piece, the context of their piece, and then they'll either have a pre-recorded or a live performance, followed by a live session with Sherezade. So Sherezade, thank you very much again for joining us today, and we are so looking forward to this.
Hello, everyone. Lisa, thank you for this. And Miles, thank you for putting all of this together. This is such a joy. I'm really excited to work with these amazing singers. We had wonderful applicants, and these three stood out just so beautifully. I want to also mention how much I admire singers who put themselves forward for masterclasses. It's hard to make yourself be that vulnerable. We're all perfectionists as artists, and to work so hard on something and to come to your own conclusions and then have somebody say, well, that was great, but here are 20 other things you can do. It takes a lot of courage. So thank you for taking that step and being here. I want to emphasize as well that this is a working session. I don't expect anyone to feel like they have to attain the heights of perfection. This is a chance for us to try a lot of different things. I think of my role here as just giving you some ideas that you can work with, you and your teacher. Ultimately, you as the artist are the final word. You have to believe in what you're doing. And I think my job is just to give you some ideas to play around with that might hopefully help in your interpretation and in your technique. So with that said, I'd love to dive in, and I think we have Kiki first. As Lisa said, if you would please introduce yourself. Tell us perhaps just a couple of sentences about where you are in your artistic path, and introduce your piece as well, and off we'll go. We'll have about 20 minutes or so with each person. So off we go, Kiki.
Hello, my name is Kiki Porter. I am 20 years old and I'm from New Jersey, and I am currently a third-year undergrad at the Oberlin Conservatory of Music studying with Professor Lefevre, and I'm a soprano. So today I will be singing I See She Flies Me by Purcell, and that is from Ringzeb. I hope I pronounced that right. And basically this song is about the sentiments of a man refused. And I will also be singing Music for a While, which is also by Purcell, and it is from Oedipus. And basically, in this song, it's a very sorrowful song, and there are two priests and a future teller summoning the ghost Alecto and trying to calm them down, and they have snakes for hair and eyes of dripping blood.
I see, she flies me, she flies me. I see, she flies me, she flies me, flies me. She flies me everywhere, she flies me everywhere. Her scorn discover, but once her scorn, all my despair. Since 'tis my fate, 'tis my fate, since 'tis my fate, since 'tis my fate to love her, since 'tis my fate to love her. Were she but kind, kind, were she but kind, kind, whom I adore, I might live but not love her more. Were she but kind, kind, were she but kind, kind, whom I adore, I might live but not I see, she flies me, she flies me. I see, she flies me, she flies me, flies me. She flies me everywhere, she flies me everywhere. Her eyes her scorn discover, but once her scorn, all my despair. Since 'tis my fate, 'tis my fate, since 'tis my fate, since 'tis my fate to love her, since 'tis my fate to love her. Music, music for a while, shall all your cares beguile? Shall all, shall all your cares beguile? Wandering, all your pains were eased, and disdaining to be pleased, till I let go free the dead, till I let go free the dead from their eternal bands. Till the snakes drop, 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 drop from her head, and the whip from out her hand. Kiki, that is just wonderful. You have such an affinity for this style. It's so exciting. I can't wait to see what you do with it and all the music that you're going to sing. You really have such a sense of the way the music moves and what to bring out in the long notes and where to lean into things. It's really fantastic. So you are off to such a great start. And I just have some ideas. Oh, you're so welcome. I just have some ideas for you about how we can take what's on the page and sort of make it pop even more. You know, with Purcell, and I love singing Purcell. Purcell is absolutely one of my favorite composers. And I think that he is such a master of drama, and he gives you so much in the music. You know, he's known as the English Orpheus for a reason. You know, there's just so much drama built into the way he sets the text. There's so much that's onomatopoeic, you know, it's all reflected in what he gives you. And I think he's one of those composers where you can take what he's given you and stretch it in either direction. If there's something that has a phrase that's going up really fast, you can make that stand, you know, you can sort of pull that out even further. If there's something that's, you know, like your drop, 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 drop motive in the music for a while, I think you can make that so mysterioso and, you know, so pin droppy, so that every drop has a different weight. There's just a lot that he's given you, and I think we've got to take what he's given and stretch it as much as possible. You know, so let's take your first one. Let's take I See, I See. And so what is your sense, Kiki, of the context of this piece? As you as the person singing it, where are you in your sort of in your emotional thought at this moment? And what are you trying to say? Tell me sort of in your own words.
Well, I know that in the opera, my character is rejected by his father, the emperor, for my desires for Indamora, who also dismisses me too. So I think I'm just feeling super rejected, and I'm in a panic because I'm realizing I have no one, and the people most important in my life don't want me. And I think it's a lot of panic and realization, and then also despair and worried for what's going to come next.
That's great. That's so well said. You know, especially with da capo arias, I think that it's so important to establish a trajectory of your emotion, because you want the da capo to mean something. You want to have return to it because something about the A and the B section has led you to the conclusion that you're coming back to. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So I think if you could sort of build for yourself a direction where you start perhaps a little bit sort of confused about this. You know, why am I being rejected? Why is this happening? I don't understand. You know, she's fleeing from me. She flies me. I wonder if you could start out from a place that's a little bit more uncertain, a little bit more bewildered, and then perhaps when you come back to the da capo, it can have that sort of despair, that depth that you were talking about before.
Okay.
And in addition to that sort of larger picture, one of the things, you know, that is so great about Baroque music that I think distinguishes it from other styles is to have sort of, you can add so much articulation and sort of micro phrases between a larger context. So you do this gesture of she flies me, I say, she flies me, she flies me. You've got it so many times. And I wonder if there are ways that you can think about to make them different. Can one of them be she flies me? Can it be sort of pleading she flies me? And the next one, she flies me, she flies me, flies me, she flies me everywhere, she flies me everywhere. And this is, you know, you have all these chances to sort of vary your articulation and make this one gesture so interesting. Would you mind doing, Kiki, the first bit of it, maybe until, from the beginning until her eyes, and see what you can do to make, I want to challenge you to make every single one of those flies a little bit different.
Okay.
Okay.
Should I do it with accompaniment or
no, you can do it just by yourself, and I can give you some chords.
Okay, sounds good.
That's coming alive already so much more. Can you start it, Kiki, in a place that, you know, as we mentioned, something that's even more uncertain? I see. You know, she flies me. Why is she doing this? I think the confidence that you're bringing at the beginning could maybe be saved for the da capo, and you could start it with I see, she flies me. Oh, she's still doing it. I see, she flies me. Oh, she's going on and on. She flies me. She flies me everywhere. You know, if you can build sort of for us that sort of picture of something is progressively happening. You're not just standing back and commenting, but this is happening to you in the moment right now, and you're a little bit uncertain about it at the beginning because you're going to have the whole, you know, the whole A and B section to sort of think about why this is happening. So I'd love let's challenge you to find a different way to open the piece so that it's a little more internal, a little more bewildered. Can we try that?
Yes. Okay. I see, she flies me, she flies me. I see, she flies me, she flies me, flies me, she flies me everywhere, she flies me everywhere.
Wonderful. Good. That's really great. I'm seeing so much more micro expression from you, and it draws us in so much more because, you know, we feel like this is really happening to you in the moment, and we're, oh gosh, well, what's going to happen next? What will she do? And so then next we talk about her eyes, her scorn. Every time you have a new text, I think that first time of new text is so important. And you want you want to make sure that we understand that text really, really clearly. And it's great because in these songs, you know, you usually end up saying the text several times. You end up saying the same text several times. But that first time, you know, of her eyes, her scorn. That word is so important, right? Because we think we're going to talk about, oh, her eyes are so delightful. Her scorn. That's what she's doing. That's what's hurting me. And it's this kind of surprise that we don't know what you're going to say about it, but then you bring out the word her scorn. But what's her scorn or my despair? That's another phrase, you know, I think that you could make such a contrast in, but what's her scorn? But what's her scorn or my despair? So her scorn to despair, all in one phrase. I'd love you to, in fact, to connect that phrase. I think you took a breath when you did it before, and I'd love for you to connect what's her scorn or my despair. Since 'tis my fate, 'tis my fate, 'tis my fate, since 'tis my fate to love her. That's going to be another really, really, really important word. That the whole entire crux of the piece is right there. So let's do this section from her eyes. See what we can do.
Okay.
Lots of text.
Okay. Her eyes, her scorn discover, but what's her scorn? But what's her scorn? Oh, wait, I didn't connect it.
That's all right. Try that one. Try the first, but what's her scorn?
Okay. But what's her scorn? But what's her scorn on my despair?
Good. That's great. Can you say despair with the sense of desolateness? Oh, my despair. A little bit of breath behind it. A little bit of. I've caught myself. I can't believe my despair. From scorn to this is your despair. Do that phrase one more time, if you would, Kiki.
Okay. But what's her scorn? But what's her scorn on my despair? Since 'tis my fate, 'tis my fate. Since 'tis my fate. Since 'tis my fate to love her. Since 'tis my fate to love her.
Wonderful. Good. That's really coming alive. I really think you can have even more contrast in your louds and your softs. And every repetition of text needs to mean something to you. So when you go on to worship but kind, again, try to make a stronger contrast, not just in the tempo, not just in the dynamic, but in the sort of the sense of the phrasing, the mood behind. It's less of these short phrases now. But kind, kind. But kind, kind. Whom I adore. Such special words in here that you could bring out. So bring your most beautiful legato to this section. Let's see how passionate you can be now from this sort of frenzy of, I see, she flies. But I wish she were just kind and she could see my adoration. This sort of outpouring here. Really think about opening your throat and opening your chest, getting all of that color out, and your most beautiful, gentle legato. Let's try it.
Okay.
Lovely, Kiki. That's lovely. That's so passionate. And again, I hear your beautiful legato. I hear your beautiful placement. Play around with even more colors. Play around with how can I make this a little bit darker, a little bit more somber. And that has a lot to do with your, with your technique and your physical setup. And something that, we talk to our teachers about is how can I create that color that has a little more sense of depth? How can I create that color that's just very bright and shiny? All things to do with your placement, where you're feeling the resonance of the sound. And I want to give you one little technical thing to think about, which is you'll be able to control your coloratura a little bit more easily if you can think about it being less in your mouth and more in your cheeks. So when you've got the she flies me business at the beginning, it's if you go she flies, if it's frontal this way, it starts getting a little bit throaty and it's a little bit harder to be fast. If you can think about, I'm sure you and your teacher have talked about your mask placement and lifting here and the soft palate being really high on the inside. And if you can think about that leading you up there, she flies me, I say, she flies me, rather than fly. That tends to slow us down a little bit. But getting the coloratura to be a little more heady and masky can help you be really calm in your mouth. So something for you to play around with. This is something that takes a little bit of time to get into your body and something for you to play around with. And gosh, I just wish we had more time to spend with you. I want to take a second and talk about music for a while. Which again, gosh, there's so much evocation in this piece. What a scene. We've got furies, we've got snakes, we've got whips, we've got electo, and the central idea again, of music. Music is what is your sensation of the word beguile? What does that mean?
Beguile. Shall all your cares beguile. I haven't thought about that word, but I know I'm trying to calm electo throughout this song, so how maybe their cares can be put to rest. They don't need to be stressed out about them. Just put them aside for right now and remain calm.
Yeah, exactly. I think in this context, it means sort of, it enchants you. It delays your cares for a while because it sweeps you up within itself. It's beguiling, it's enchanting. You're drawn in for that short time. So this song has such a trajectory, the same way we were talking about your I See She Flies, where it can start out so mysterioso, so, you just setting the scene for us. And with each delivery of new text, something new happens. You know, you have your shall all your cares beguile, wondering how your pains were eased, and then you've got elect, and you know, he is such a master of building the mood. You know, you start off with till electo free the dead, till electo free the dead. Oh, it's not over yet. From their eternal, you know, the suspense keeps building. So I want, you know, again, I want to encourage you to take a step back and think about, how can I give a color of mystery? How can I give a color of suspense? You know, within my technique, within my artistry, how can I find these different shades to give to it? And we talked about the drop, drop, drop moment, which I think is so fantastic. You know, you just can't sing them all like they're the same. You just can't go, till the snakes drop, 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 drop. It's got to be onomatopoeic. It's got to be drop, 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 drop from it. And the whip. What a word. When's the last time you sang the word whip in a song?
I don't know if I ever have.
Right? I mean, it's a great, this is a word I think where, you know, sometimes it's a little pretentious to do things like whip, but I think in this case it really works because we don't want people to think, and the whip, what is that? That's not a word we're used to hearing in a song. But if you say, and the whip, we know exactly what you're talking about. You really brought that out.
Okay.
There are editions in which you, by the way, just so you know, the true source of material this edition has a couple of changes from what you're singing at your wandering, and I think you might have it as sort of, there was a misprinted edition that came out after Purcell's time that was and the same thing with their eternal, that should be a whole step there. From their eternal. You'll see it in different editions that way, but this is what the real source material says. So I just wanted you to be aware of that. Kiki, I have to let you go, but it's been such a pleasure, and I can't wait to see all the things you do. Thank you so much.
Thank you for everything, and you have such a beautiful voice.
Oh, thank you. My pleasure. My pleasure. And I think we have Ashley next.
Hello. Can you see and hear us? Great. Okay. Good. Okay. I'm Ashley Mulcahy. I'm a mezzo-soprano. This is James Peretta, a viola da gamba player, and this is our living room. We're here today in Quincy, Massachusetts, which is just a few miles south of Boston. We moved here about 6 months before the onset of the pandemic. So at that time, I had just finished my master's degree in vocal performance in the Voxtet program at the Yale School of Music and Institute of Sacred Music, and moved up to Boston, just started dipping my toe in the freelance singer world, a few performances here, a few things there, and then the pandemic came and put that to a temporary halt. So I am so grateful today to have this learning experience. I haven't had any feedback on my singing in about a year, so this is super exciting. Thank you so much for doing this. And I guess today we'll start with In deiner Hände befehl ich meinen Gott, which is the alto aria from the Bach cantata Gottes Zeit ist die allerbeste Zeit, often known as Actus Tragicus, which is much easier. This is a funeral cantata, and there's only one line of text in this piece, Lord, into thine hands I commend my spirit, for you, faithful Lord, have redeemed me. This is one of Bach's earliest cantatas. He, like me, was in his 20s at the time, which is crazy to think about. And I chose this piece today, besides the fact that I have the benefit of living with a viola da gamba player, because this cantata and this aria in particular is so idiosyncratic. I would not claim to be a Bach expert, but I can't think of anything like it. And I don't think I've quite wrapped my mind around it, so I would love some feedback. In deine Hände, in deine Hände, leg meinen Geist, in deine Hände, in deine Hände, leg meinen Geist, in deine Hände.
Oh, that's just so lovely, Ashley. And James, right? Did I
Yes.
get your name correctly, James? Thank you. Wow, what a treat to actually have live music right now. That's just fantastic. Thank you both. Really, really beautiful. Ashley, I think it's coming along very well. I think you have a lovely idea of what's supposed to happen when Bach, more than any other composer, and perhaps this is something I should be doing more. But when I'm thinking of Bach, I'm always thinking of the theology behind it. I'm always thinking about his perspective and what he, what sort of the context of these pieces were to him, and therefore for us as artists, what our job is to sort of bring out in the text. And as you mentioned, this is a funeral cantata, and is my understanding of having studied some of this is that there is this idea in Lutheran theology of death is the most wonderful thing because I get to be with Christ, which is I think for us in the modern day quite startling to think about it in that context, but for them it wasn't. And I think if you can wrap your mind around thinking of it that way, it goes less from being sort of a very somber aria and more to something that sort of makes you a little bit more hopeful. It's sort of anticipatory. It's that sensation of I'm content in myself because I'm giving up my spirit to the Lord, and I know the Lord is faithful, and this is how it'll begin. And so I wonder, if that might give you a start to sort of help you think about it from the context of, this is something I want. I am willingly giving myself to my Lord in this context with death. So that's sort of one idea I wanted to put into your mind. but it's so lovely. We can always be doing more with, I think, the sensation of strong and weak, and the sensation in this kind of piece where you have, as you said, there's essentially one line of text that's repeated a lot. And you have a lot of opportunities to bring out different parts of that line of text. You know, at some point it could be in deine Hände, at some point it could be in deiner Hände. It's befehl ich meinen Geist, or befehl ich meinen Geist, or befehl ich meinen Geist. You know, and depending on how he constructs the music and where the chromaticism falls, or where you feel there's a suspension, those are opportunities for you to bring out different words at different times as you repeat the text. A lot of the time, you know, he's leading you towards Hände.
Right,
a lot of the
yeah.
time, deine is really high, and then you come back down to Hände. And so, you know, you can choose one of those times for in deine Hände versus in deine Hände. You know, you can that second time you're really sort of doing a little bit of diminuendo of in deine Hände befehl ich meinem Geist. Since the trill is going to fall there on meinen, to me that word meinen is quite important there, as opposed to another spot where Geist perhaps takes on, you know, a stronger context. The other thing to think about in this piece is the construction of it. You know, what's sort of happening with the form, and for the most part, it's almost an ostinato bass line. Almost. It diverts a little bit from time to time, but essentially it's that same line, and which makes me sort of feel like it's almost a litany. You know, and you can if you think about sort of how a litany might work, you know, you can bring out some moments of it, you can come back on some moments, but you're sort of in this zone of, you're each, for the most part, always handing off a phrase to each other. There are a couple of points, I think, where you know, there's a clear break. You have one in bar 5 after befehl ich meinen Geist in deine Hände. So you could perhaps take a little time there, because James isn't coming in until the next bar. You have that moment to yourself. Same thing happens, I think, in bar 7, or bar 8 rather. Befehl ich meinen Geist in deine Hände. And then after that, you're just constantly trading. Think about how you each can dovetail into each other a little bit more, how you can hand it off to each other. I mean, you have the great fortune to have your continuo player right next to you, you know, and so you can take that chance, I think, to be even more artistic with it. Let's try it again, Ashley.
Great.
And let's see what we can, you know, so some of the things, I don't know if you were on when I was talking to Kiki, but the same thing about every iteration of the phrase has meaning. It's not, you know, Bach didn't just go, okay, I'm going to write in deine Hände 5 times, and then I'm going to write the next thing 6 times, and we'll come back to it and we'll see what happens. With, you know, especially with Bach, it really means something, and I want you to start it with the sensation of, here is the first presentation of the text, here is my willing spirit, and then the music sort of leads you further and further. There's always a trajectory. So let's see what kind of trajectory you can give me. Let's see what kind of sensation you can give me of, now this word is important. Now I'm leaning into this harmony. You know, just stretch it out a little bit more, Ashley. Let's see what happens. Let's do the first bit until du hast mich erlöset.
Okay.
All right, so until about bar 11.
In
Ashley. I want to challenge you to go even further with extremes, truly. I would love your softs to be even more soft. I'd like your louds to be even more loud. I'd like your stressing and unstressing of certain parts of text to go even further. Because we hear this motive a number of times in a number of ways, and it's not yet different enough, Ashley.
Okay.
It's not yet in a place where every iteration makes me have a slightly new concept of what this theological idea means.
Okay, happy to try it again.
Yeah, great. So
Okay.
let's try that again. How intimate can you make us feel in that opening? It's all you. That entire first phrase is just you. There's nothing underneath that. And
yeah, it's a little scary.
It is, isn't it? Ashley, it'll also help you, I think, in this one because it's so rangy, and you go quite low and quite high. Can you think about placing that first phrase a little more towards the top of your range than the bottom? I feel you wanting to do a little bit of are you doing it in this key? I feel you wanting to do in thine and that makes that passaggio crossover from the low B, the low B to the high F sharp a little bit funky.
I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah.
I know you do. We all deal with this. Darn the passaggio. And I wonder if you can in thine hand, if it can sit in that position, so that then when you go to in thine hand, it's just right there, and it's not two different Ashleys. It's so I think that might help you. The in thine, that note has got to turn a little bit higher, and then as you go down, try not to sort of give into that beautiful chocolatey mezzo sound that you have, and try not to sort of, you don't really have time to revel in it at this moment. You don't really have time to go, Dinah, oh, that's so creamy and lovely. Unfortunately. So somewhere else you will have that moment, but not in this one. So, in thine hand, because you're going to hand, and truly give me more hand, in thine hand. Really make us sort of have this image of, I am giving myself. Here are the hands. Here, this is the word that's so important. So, even more contrast. Off we go.
Okay.
That's really, really good. Just without James, can you sing that first phrase for me and really make it a little bit more masky, a little bit higher?
I'll try.
Let's try it. Just the first phrase, just you by yourself.
Okay. In thine hand.
Good. Die is sitting really well. Can the thine, can that also be really high?
In thine hand.
Much better. Yeah. Let's try that again. Good. I didn't hear the break as much this time. Try it again.
In thine hand.
Good. It's also going to help you actually if the vowel of thine can be less and more thine.
Okay.
In thine, almost towards going more towards E than towards O.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, dino. At that range, I bet if you think a little more E, that's going to help you place higher. One more time.
Okay.
Good. Now, actually put your music down.
Okay.
And just look straight out. I bet you know this much better than you imagine you do.
Probably.
Visualize for yourself the beginning and the end and how it's all part of one pathway. And really make yourself feel dum dum ba da dum. Almost dance it. You will. If you haven't heard this yet, you should keep in your mind all Bach is dance. All Bach is based on some sort of dance. And even the most slow, the most mournful pieces have that sense of that rhythmicity, rhythmic energy. And it's never going to be each beat is the same. There's always going to be a hierarchy. So look up and feel the thread of this is the beginning and this is my goal. Go on. Now, can you try that phrase for me by going? Can you make the D less important and the F sharp much more important?
Trying to think of which is which. Okay.
The E flat is less
Okay.
important. The B natural is more important.
So the top note less important.
Correct. Exactly.
Okay.
Good, Ashley. Same idea. You'll have more success with keeping things in the same place if you can think about less of the sound kind of, the less of your creamy mezzo sound coming from your mouth resonance and more coming just from your chest be feeling really open, your pecs feeling really far apart, your breath being really set up. And instead of trying to feel in do, which kind of pulls the sound down a little bit, you wanted to turn, up through, this is our resonance space, right? This is the stuff that we work on all the time. Do is just, it's too, that isn't taking advantage of your body's natural sense of resonance. So if you can make it go through you have more control with this, and you have less of a sense of do kind of falling out of the line into your mouth. So even maybe just use your hand to kind of keep your jaw in position. All right, get your palate really high. Get top note placed first. That's your first top note. Now can you start at the bottom note in that position? Oh, that's nice, Ashley. That's really nice. Let's try that again.
Okay.
As delicately as you can combine those first two notes in the position of the top note, and then really bring us to hand. That is the minimum, I think, of the stretching of the phrase that I want you to do.
Okay.
That just really, really pops off the page. It truly does. It gives us such a sense of, oh, she really knows exactly where she wants to go in the phrase. And I think, as you, Bach is always a lifetime discovery, lifetime exploration. Every single time we sing it, we'll have new ideas and more things to do it. But if you can be just so clear about where you want to go in the phrase and overdo it at first until someone says, oh my gosh, that's too much, stop, just give me an actual line, then you'll know you've done enough and you can bring it back
Thank you.
again.
That's super helpful.
Excellent. Good. In your next sort of section of text where you've got du hast mich erlöset, it's a little, we don't have sort of time to go through all of it, but you're coming from this very it's quite rangy, and now you've got this, you have redeemed me. You know, you are so faithful. Again, the first iteration of text, the first time you say getreuer Gott, really important. Make that special. Du hast mich erlöset, Herr, du getreu. Can you enjoy that text? Enjoy the trill on it? Can you make it really, really special? Because that's the first time we hear it. And then again, you've got one of those other spots where you get treue Gott in deine Hände. A little bit more. In deine Hände. Let's bring it back. In deine Hände befehl ich meinen Geist. Du hast mich erlöset. You know, we all know that Bach didn't write operas, but it's not because he couldn't. It's just because of the circumstances, you know, of his life and his employment. And I, for one, do not think that Bach should be sung in this sort of, you know, square box of, you know, it's all very just perfect and little and small. I think you really can bring a very dramatic sensibility to it that's going to make it come off the page, especially in a piece like this with repeated text. Okay? So hopefully some ideas for you to think about there, Ashley. Beautiful job. Can't wait to hear you again. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Great
you.
to see you.
You too.
Bye.
Bye.
Hi, my name is Kara Gabrielson, and I am a soprano from Portland, Oregon originally, and I am now living in Oakland, California. I graduated from the San Francisco Conservatory of Music, and last year I was a young artist at Opera Idaho and also a national semifinalist at the Metropolitan Opera National Council auditions. And today I will be singing As When the Dove from Handel's Acis and Galatea. And in this aria, Galatea is saying, likening her love to scenes in nature.
Didst thou know the pains of absent love? Acis would never Galatea love. As when the dove laments
goodness, that's just so beautiful. It's so beautiful. You have such a great sense of this style. It's such enchanting singing. It's just a pleasure to watch you. It's gorgeous. Truly, I just have sort of alternate ideas for you. There's a lot that's working just beautifully. In the same way that I think we were talking before with Kiki about, da capo arias. This is a long aria.
Yes.
This is, you're keeping our attention for quite some time. And what do you think has happened between A and B to A? I mean, what can you do to differentiate the aria a little bit more? So it's less of one statement of here's how I feel for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And more something has happened to me during these 5 minutes. What do you think?
Yeah, I think over the course of 5 minutes, Galatea internally has kind of calmed herself and reassured herself of Acis's love. Instead of I love him, it becomes a he loves me internal feeling and a switch there.
I agree completely. I wonder if in the opening it can have that a little more of that sense of new love, a little bit of like, but does he love me now? Wait, okay, but 5 minutes later, what about now? That sensation of a slight uncertainty. And when it starts, again, this is one of those pieces where we're not entirely sure what you're going to say. Is this a song about lament? Is this a song about love? Because your first line is, as when the dove laments her love. And are you going to sing about something terribly sad that's happened? So maybe keep us a little bit in suspense at the beginning of, you don't know where this is going to go. So a little, you come across as such a beautifully confident and just, well presented performer. And I wonder if you could inject a little bit more vulnerability into that first section of where's this going to go? And then when he returns, no, that's when no more she mourns.
Yeah.
So that's sort of one thought I wanted to put into your head. And then what happens in the B section?
I think she's daydreaming at that point.
Yeah.
Daydreaming of being with Aces.
Yeah. It's so seductive, this B section. It's so, it's somehow sort of more flirty, a little bit more sexy. You've got these great alliterations of melting murmurs and lasting love. I think you can use the text a little bit more, delicately, really sort of take time to say some of those words in there. Melting murmurs, lasting, fill the grove. It's almost like they've been up to some extracurricular activities in that B section.
Yes.
Something has happened, and when you come back to it, as you say, it's a little more confident now in your sensation of of sort of communicating how you feel. So that's a thought I had. I love your ornaments. They're just beautiful and stylistic. I'd love to see you go much further with them. I'd love to see you really, you can really do a little bit of recomposition. I mean, Handel certainly wasn't above it himself. And, I don't know how much sort of, performance practice you've had in this arena, but we have tons of examples from the Baroque period of, we find them in, for example, in Corelli and Telemann violin sonatas. We've got examples in which the composer has written out their initial line of music and then written out for you a really ornamented version. So we know that this was the practice. We know that people were doing it. And I think especially in this kind of aria where, it's quite substantial, we really do get the point of the melodic material by the time the first A is over. And I think you can slightly recompose. You can take things up the octave instead of down the octave. You can, give us in some of those runs, you can rewrite them slightly so that they have just a, of course they're still in the harmony of what is intended, but they're a little bit more creative because we've heard them. Yeah. We've heard that material once before. And I think those are sort of some of the main ideas I wanted to communicate to you. Can you try singing some of your coloratura with me and really keep your jaw very, very, very still?
Yeah.
Can you do the section of?
Sure.
And at the. control than you already do, and you already have so much beautiful control and beautiful technique. But I think you'll get even more out of it if you can really be still here.
Yeah.
And keep it lifted. Try that from here, from No More
sure.
She Mourns. You know where I am, right?
Yeah.
No more she mourns, but loves.
Good,
Did
good,
it
good,
move?
good, Karen, good. Yeah, it didn't. That was great. Can you do it in a way where you feel, you know what I mean when I talk about your pharynx? Where's your, you know what your pharynx is, sort of right back here. Can you feel like the pharyngeal space is more open than the front of your mouth?
Okay.
I use the image sometimes of I'm a ventriloquist. I'm trying to almost sing. I tried once or twice sometimes with my lips as closed as possible. So
Okay.
again, I'm maximizing the potential of my body's natural resonance going this way rather than this way.
Okay.
So that it's not going la, but almost try going but loves the lifelong day. So you can really feel that space. Can you try that for me once?
Sure,
Keep
yeah.
your lips as close as possible.
Okay.
And it should force you to really open your throat, really stretch the back of the pharynx,
Okay.
and keep that space ringing. Give it
Okay.
a shot.
No more she mourns, but loves.
That's great. Did that feel any different to you? Did that,
It did, yeah.
Did that position the note in a different way for you? How did it feel?
Yeah, I felt like it lightened it up quite a lot more, and it made it so it wasn't quite as notey, and there wasn't puffs of air in between notes.
I agree. And this piece is essentially constructed on your ability to sing a lower note with more strength than a higher note, right?
Yes.
Everything about it is so and the run is kind of the same, isn't it? It's really not.
Yeah.
And I think you'll be able to get more control then if you can kind of still your jaw, keep the front a little bit less, and use that space one. That was really great, Kara. Beautiful. Good. So let's start it, and take me through a more dramatic trajectory from the beginning to end, a bigger transition.
Sure.
What can you do at the very beginning? All right. So.
As when the dove laments her love along the naked spray.
Karen, that's so good. Even more. Truly,
Okay.
even more. Can you look more? Can you show us more uncertainty? Can you show us more vulnerability? I don't know yet how he feels about this. I know how I feel, but I don't know how he feels. That sort of a little bit of tug of war.
Yeah.
And can you do even more with? With that top F is always just
Floating.
very gently placed. You're really supporting the bottom note and then sort of trampolining off it into the top note.
Sure.
Let's try it again.
As when the dove laments her love along the naked spray.
Beautiful. Go on when he returns.
When he returns, no more she mourns, but loves the lifelong day. But loves the lifelong day.
Good. Can the phrase of but loves the lifelong day? Oh, it's not over yet.
Yeah.
Can it have that sort of sensation of
Yeah.
this utter delight kind of unfolding?
Yeah.
And I mean that's the sort of was my biggest impression on hearing you sing. Like it's so beautiful, it's so charming, it's so enchanting. I want to see more facets of your personality. I want
Yeah.
to see more of a sense of drama from you. I want to see more of, I can take this from the tiniest thing and build a sort of, the phrase truly has a, has a direction at this point. So try that for me. Let's use as an example.
But love's the lifelong day. But love's the lifelong day.
Lovely. That's so beautiful in that phrase before. And then you could pull this back if you wanted.
Yeah.
After your and then you'd be sort of cheeky charming with it. But love's the lifelong day. You could be doing more with the articulation. You could be doing more with, real extremes of soft and loud in this. Good. Let's take the B section.
Sure.
The billing cooing. I had, and again, this is to do with recording, and it might be so different if you were in the same space, and I hope we do get to be at some point. But I had trouble sometimes telling what your text was, especially the first time I hear it. At the billing cooing, that cooing, panting, wooing. Can you sort of take time to really set that up?
Yeah.
And then the melting murmurs, again, I want a color from you here that just, like I said, makes me feel like there's some hanky-panky going on.
Okay.
Makes me, makes it just really lots of tension in that line. Melting murmurs fill the grove. Just a real stretch in that. You could even make it more murmury with an ornament. You could do melting murmurs fill the grove to really make it murmur.
Yeah.
That sort of idea. Try the B section.
Sure. Cooing, panting, wooing, melting murmurs fill the grove. Melting murmurs, lasting love.
Oh, that was so beautiful the way you just said murmurs, right? That you pulled it back a little bit and then you placed that note and really savored it. That's the kind of stuff I'm talking about, Kara, of that sort of imagination, pervading the entire piece. It's beautiful. It's a fantastic, gorgeous textbook example of how an aria should be sung. But I think you could be so much, you could take it and just make it so much more your own.
Yeah.
Try for me the next section. The
Sure.
melting murmurs fill the grove. And make sure that I have a real sense of that to the end, to the end of that section. Where which is the part that you want me to feel, oh, this is the climactic moment. This is the moment of arrival. Which is the part where you want me to feel like, oh, this is the part where we're entwined. This is the part that's secret.
Yeah.
This is the murmuring bit. All right, let's see what we can do.
Melting murmurs fill the grove. Melting murmurs, lasting love. Billing cooing, panting wooing. Melting murmurs fill the grove. Melting murmurs, lasting love.
Fabulous, Kara. So beautiful. I think that, I don't know, I feel like this, it's crying out for an ornament on the melting murmurs fill the grove. Something there, because we've had that same, melting murmurs fill the grove. We've had that, motive enough. So, and on that D minor chord, it'd be so nice to have something that goes up to
Sure.
something. Can you try something for me?
Yeah.
Melting murmurs.
Melting murmurs.
And in fact, let's go back to the A and do some of your ornamented bits.
Sure.
You know, the idea with the ornamentation, of course, is to make it feel like I just came up with this right now, whether or not you actually did.
Yes.
Right? Sometimes, you know, we can get experienced enough with it that it really does happen in the moment, and that's great. But regardless of what, you know, what that, even if you've written out your own ornamentation, it's got to feel like it's not, articulation-wise, it's not necessarily part of the exact legato of the phrase. There's something about it that has a sense of, ooh, this little gem of a thought just came to me.
Yeah.
And so let's see what you can do to make your ornaments feel like I just came up with this right now. Can we go back to the da capo?
As when the dove laments her love along my naked spray.
Kara, that's great. Now try to keep your tempo exactly as
Yeah.
it was. It was a little faster than that.
Yeah.
Which should in fact make your ornaments feel a little bit more sprightly. Try
Yeah.
again.
As when the dove laments her love along my naked spray.
Good. You might think again about, you know, the fact that again it's the bottom note that's more important. Right now your ornaments
Yeah.
are concentrated slightly towards the high side of it, but you know that's something you can sort of sit and play around with,
Yeah.
and figure out what you need to do with it. Good. Go on from that section.
As when the dove laments her love along my naked spray. When he returns, no more she mourns, no more she mourns.
Good. And exactly, that's the section where, you know, we get the same note again. To me, that is begging for something, you know, really exciting and interesting. Some little bit of recomposition to
Yeah.
have happened there.
Yeah.
Not to mention also again the sense of when he returns, no more she mourns, no more she mourns. Something. It can never feel like you're saying when he returns, no more she mourns, no more she mourns. It's not no
Yeah.
more she mourns, no more she mourns, no more she mourns. There's always something that's made you think, oh, I must emphasize this. I must say it again for a reason. And
Yeah.
that's really, I think that's really the next step for you, Kara. It's beautiful. I'm sure I'll be seeing you out in the world, but it's gorgeous. Good luck with it, and come up with all the different ways you can be creative and, you know, make it your own.
Yeah. Thank you
All
so
right.
much.
You're so welcome. What a pleasure.
My goodness. Thank you so much, Sherry, and to Kiki, Ashley, and Kara. If you wanted to turn back on your video so we can see you and give a wave, that's you're totally fine. Yay! Hi! Yay! Oh my goodness! Oh, what stunning artistry at work here. And you know, to me, Zoom is kind of not ideal for many things, especially singing. But I think for something like this, I think it worked quite well. So thank you so much for your flexibility, for your artistry, for sharing your living rooms with us, and good luck to all of you. Boy, such incredible work done here. And to Sherry, my goodness, seeing you and hearing you makes me miss you even more. My hearts and virtual hugs from San Francisco to New Haven. I yearn for the day when we can see each other again. And thank you, Lisa, for all of your work behind the scenes and putting this event together. How fantastic!
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Miles and Lisa. What a joy, and really, all of you, bravissimo. Just you know, fantastic. Wonderful work. You all put yourselves out there and tried new things, and you know, hopefully things that you can think about as you go forward. Wonderful work. Such a pleasure. Thanks for having
Absolutely.
me.
Thanks for your guidance, Sherry, and thank you all so much who are behind the scenes. We've been offering a variety of virtual offerings over the course of the past few months, and we'll continue to do so. Keep in touch with us by making sure you're on our email list. You can go to our website at philharmonia.org. Thanks again to Sherry, to Kiki, Ashley, Kara. What a fantastic way to spend a Saturday morning. Thank you all, and have a good rest of your day.
Thank you. Bravi.
Thank you for this
Yay.
opportunity.
Yes, of course. Bye.